I think with the sports world, I think there are issues all over. Everything from the people who are creating the output to the way it's presented, to even down to consumption. I'd say, but I'd say that the real problems maybe start off in the newsrooms and in the offices. Sports is a strange world. They're always in the corner somewhere, doing their own thing. It seems to be very much a male-orientated environment.
So gender, big issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. There aren't enough women. But is that because that women aren't? I wouldn't say women aren't interested in sport, but are they put off by the fact that you have this superimposed view of sports, which is highly populated by males, by men, and because they don't see many females, they maybe subconsciously think that this is just a male-orientated world, and there probably isn't the room for a female, or maybe it isn't worth going into. But I know there are far too many. I think during my time as a media professional, I maybe come across. In fact, I think I've only ever met one female sports journalist.
Yeah.
One female sports journalist. That's it. But when you go into when you break that down and you look at it from sports, news, all that, lots of women are in news. There are lots of women in news, but specifically sports journalism.
Should they? Do you think?
I think
they should be. If you'd lead a sports newsroom, would you try to get? To what extent would you try to get diverse backgrounds in, and to what extent would you just look at how passionate the people are on just other factors that are totally I don't know.
It's a difficult one because when you don't have people, when you don't have individuals to aspire to, less and less people will go into a particular art form or profession. So, but I also don't necessarily believe in the quota system either. I don't think people should be there because there is a quota to fill. I think people should be there by merit. I think people should be there because they have a love and interest for a particular topic. But I do think that the obstacles that are in the way coming to or getting to a place should perhaps be lessened, taken away. But I also think there are. I don't think there are enough women in media to appeal to the mainstream. As soon as you start appealing, I don't think there are. I think it's a lot better than things that aren't conventional or aren't recognised, aren't understood by the mainstream. The mainstream starts a different way from if you're elsewhere, so they don't automatically want to. It's like shown that white elephant in the room. White elephant that should therefore be developed by management or by
and then the
managers within media. I think that should be nurtured. I think it should be developed. Try to put these individuals in the fore. Therefore, plug a gap to show the diversity in terms of gender. The last thing you want is just a token person there. I know Sky Sports might be one of these broadcasters.
It's like, do you want to have the tabloid or the people reading no news? Like
a very aesthetically, let's just say, pleasing presenter, and maybe not having too much of a agenda. But I really do think with the BBC and the ITV, I think they have, people are there on merit. I think there's some very good broadcasters who are from ethnic minorities, very, very good broadcasters, and journalists from ethnic minorities. Now, what I would say is what the criticism I would have is that it's all good and well having an ethnic minority on screen, but what's coming out of their mouth? I want to have the main commentator saying, "Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo is a cheat. He's a this, he's a that," and then the other guy says, "I don't know. He gets fouled quite a lot. He gets I don't condone diving, but he is the best player in the world. And a lot of people do want to kick him, and a lot of people are jealous of him. So you have counterbalance. This one, in the end, balanced. That goal shouldn't have been a goal. Oh, we need to introduce.
The extremes probably always give you the most attention.
But then it's how normal people talk. Normal people don't like to talk in an impartial way. If you're happy with that, a lot of people might change your mind, but that's how normal people talk. You're either describing what's going on, and by that I mean you're describing the sport, or you're talking about the individual. And I think if you're going to talk about the individual, I think you should talk about his or her previous achievements, maybe a bit about what their character is like, maybe talk about where they're from, and then if you're not going to be doing that, then you're going to be talking about their country. So I don't see the big deal. I don't find that boring. I don't think most people find it boring. I think most people would be, in this country at least, would have an issue with just filling space by saying stupid things. I'd rather go for politics. I'd rather learn something. I don't mean learn sitting down in a classroom. Like you said, it's more sheep than. I want to see diversity being pushed. I want to hear about other countries. I don't want to hear about what you think of London. I want to hear about what your country is about. I want to be educated.
But do most of the people want to be educated?
There will be if you the media will only consume what you give them. If you're going to give them funny remarks, if you're going to give them this, if you're going to give them that, if you're going to dumb them down, then most of them will be happy to take that. Sports on the ground level is very much about my team against your team against my team. It almost becomes trivialized here. But when we look at the power of sports, the influence of sports, you look at it from up here, it's very, 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 very important. It's worthwhile. But it's just when you're in the run-of-the-mill, everyday sports, it's almost.
That's the question. How can you change it?
It's almost deemed not to be that important because it's just about my team against your team. So what? When you're talking about bringing nations together, all this kind of stuff, all of a sudden sports becomes very important.
Yeah.
So it's that balance between the practical world and the practical world, as in the job that you do, balancing it with the importance or the weight of sport itself. An individual, the consumer, when you're watching sport, you're almost watching it from a shallow level, superficial level, as in one person against another person, one team against another team, one nation against another nation. It's just sport, it's just entertainment, it's just a game. Whereas I think the media comes in and they can expand on that, they can develop that, they can talk about history, they can talk about cultural differences, they can talk about historical differences, they add to that discussion. The mainstream is male and female, that they wouldn't even have it in their head to incorporate homosexuality or And so I think part of it's ignorance, but I also think part of it because being in the mainstream, if you're in the mainstream, you want to appeal to the mainstream. As soon as you start appealing, as soon as you start bringing in things that aren't conventional or aren't recognized instantly or aren't understood by the mainstream, then the mainstream starts to go away from you and starts going elsewhere, kind of thing. So they don't automatically want to really. It's like the white elephant in the room. They don't want to talk about the issues around homosexuality and
then
gay couples. And so as a result, it's a self-perpetuating. It keeps the status quo. You know, they're like, yeah, we'll just keep it there. Don't worry, forget about that. Just concentrate on the idea of having your token Asian guy who owns a shop on the corner, who talks a bit like this, you know, who does. I don't also adhere to that either. But I think you can find a balance. I mean,
that's the other thing. It's like, do you want to have the tabloid or the people reading no news?
Yeah.
It's like,
and I'd say I probably have the stereotypical person. Why? Because even if you have that stereotypical person, at least he's there. At least there is a presence. And then when you do come across an Asian person in the street, you can quickly, although you might be thinking, oh, he's going to be like this, he's going to be the stereotype.
At least you're not
afraid. You can quickly turn around that stereotype and say, no, we're not all like that. Sports personality. I want to see her all naked. I'm here. She wants to be clothed here, but maybe she could have a t-shirt on and look all pretty and all the rest of it, but be fairly covered. Maybe have a t-shirt on or something, right? So she isn't completely naked, and she isn't completely clothed. It's something in the middle. That's a compromise.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people always think, you know, you have to fully compromise. No, you can make that partial compromise. I don't see the problem with that.
The extremes probably always give you the most attention.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely, they do. But then, you know, you're compromising too much then.
Yeah.
On an individual basis. If you're happy with that, fine, whatever. But a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
So that's